right, so today, bass musician friends, I have one of the greatest of all times, the GOAT, Tim Lefebrve.
Man, I don't know about that, but thank you, Steve. That's very kind of you.
Tim, your playing is amazing, man. I've been listening to you for years and years, and I find it really inspirational. And I just wanted to touch base with you, and it's really an honor to have you here with me because you're one of my all time favorites that I always want to touch base with. It's you and Tony Levin.
And, yeah, he's one of my all-time favorites.
Maybe we get him on a three-way call here.
Oh man, we could talk in Boston accents because he's from Boston.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I know his brother.
Oh yeah, I met him at what was it? Last summer, with the King Crimson. Because
Yeah,
he's been playing with them again. So it was just funny. And I tried to start off the Boston accent thing. He didn't go for it. He's just, he's just
that's
like,
awesome.
who's this clown?
That's great. That's
Yeah.
awesome. So Tim, you've been playing for a long time, man. And can you tell us a little bit about where you came from and how you got started?
Well, let's see. Fourth grade, I think, like you had the option of playing in the band. So I played alto sax. But, at school. But then at home, like my sister got a guitar for Christmas one year, and so like I just started picking it up and messing around with it. But I was only doing single note things, like copying. I was playing along the records, like AC/DC or whatever. And so my dad he kind of peeped that. My dad was also a music teacher, so he was like, he saw it and he's like, you're a bass player, and then he forced me at gunpoint to do gigs with him in his like they did all this like corny four part harmony like wedding gigs. And so like so that's how I kind of started. And he bought me a cheap bass and we did some gigs together. But then I had in middle school and high school, middle school teacher was Ted Haggerty, and my high school teacher was Steve Massey, who's actually kind of a legend in that in the jazz thing. So like I got a good education from those guys, and because we would rehearse, like it was tons of band rehearsals, and they just made us, once you were like in the music program, you were immersed in it. Like they forced me to play tuba, Yeah,
Were you playing upright at that time too, or was it just?
I started that sophomore year in high school. I studied with a guy in Boston named Dave Hollander for like 6 months. And then I never studied again, and I wish I had, but it's just kind of too late now.
You know,
So
it's great because you mentioned like the high school, like the elementary music programs, like they're just so important, and they
yeah,
really, as many people as I've talked to over the years, the music school programs have got to be one of the pillars for so many musicians to get us started and really get us like kind of loving music. And it sounds like you had a similar experience.
yeah. And now when we were there, the program was sort of like, we were kind of gaining notoriety. But like when I went back with Rudder, like you said, like 2007, and we did a workshop there at my old high school. And it was great to see my band director. But it turned out, the program now is a total juggernaut. It's just there's as much funding for that as there is for sports. So it's
Oh,
like,
that's great. That's great.
yeah, so it is good.
So after school, where did you go to college? Did you study in college? Did you go on the road right away?
No, my parents, they didn't want me to get a music degree, so I went to a place that had music on the side, which is University of Rochester, which is adjacent to Eastman School of Music. So I did some stuff with Eastman School. Took some classes. Did Bill Dobbins' band with some good players. I mean, like the band I was in was like John Hollenbeck and who else? My friend Tim Lynch, who's now the head attorney for the University of Michigan, and yeah, just some bad dudes. So that was cool. So I was still in music, but I was like studying, at the University of Rochester, getting a regular degree in like economics, political science.
Oh
So,
wow. Oh wow.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
economics. That's a good one. I'm sure that
yeah,
comes in handy now, right?
yeah. Right. That's hilarious. My dad goes, "You're an economist." What are you? It's like, Dad. No. I'm just
Buy
trying to.
buy games GameStop.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, right. Actually, do you know Andy Snitzer,
I do
saxophone
not.
player? Yeah, he plays with like Paul Simon and a bunch of guys like that. But he's like pretty savvy investor too.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's kind of his thing. I think he's got his master's in it. I think
Oh, that's great.
MFA. Yeah,
It's really
yeah,
great. Especially a lot of guys seem to have a lot of outside of music degrees. Just builds character. I think a lot
yeah.
being able to be so diverse. Which you are the master of diverse. Because you brought up Rudder. I mean, Rudder is probably it's one of my favorite bands. It's like it falls into this jam band yet jazz thing. It's like I kind of I grew up listening to Medeski Martin Wood, was like a huge influence. And when I, hearing your stuff, it kind of tied that all together for me. And once you graduated college, and I know Rudder was out in New York. Is that where you went next?
Yeah, exactly. Well, actually, I went out on cruise ships from like 1990 to 93. So that's where I met a couple of my friends who've been friends for life, actually. Yeah, one of which is my friend Mark Owen, whose record drops on February 26th, called Cryptic Cadet. Yeah, it's worth a check out, actually. It's really good. And also a friend of mine, Cam Tyler, on drums. Yeah, so like, I met some friends who have, a few of them stayed in the music business, a few of them didn't, but but it was cool because we were out there on the ship, like just doing, like playing standards and also like I was like transcribing Tony Williams records and stuff and just like making everybody try to play these hard tunes.
That's great.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. And then I moved to New York after that.
Right on. So
yeah.
was the cruise ship gig, was that a valuable experience for you? Do you feel like that's something that maybe, say, a young musician who's coming out of school, is that a good option for them?
I mean, if you need money, sure. I mean, I didn't know what to do after college because I had like one interview with like Nationwide Insurance or something. And I was just like, I pictured myself like hanging from the ceiling on a noose in my office. It's just like, I can't do it. So I just decided to just go. The easiest gig to get was on a cruise ship at that point. So I just went out. And but the thrust of the whole thing was that I ended up meeting Zach Danziger. You remember him? The drummer? Yeah. So like I met, because Zach was friends with the drummer on the ship named Pete Davenport. So they were good friends. And Zach had just finished that Wayne Krantz record, Long to Be Loose. And he wanted to get out of New York and chill. So he came out for a couple of days on a cruise. We ended up hitting it off. And then I was kind of asking him, I was like, do you think I could make it in New York? And, he said, yeah. So, and he's such a good dude that, I said, okay, I'll call you. I kept calling him. And then finally I moved to New York, and then he ended up like taking an apartment with me just to get me on my feet there. It was pretty remarkable what he did. I mean, I basically say like, without Zach, I wouldn't have a career. So that's one of the great things. And I've obviously stayed friends with all the guys who were on the ship and stuff, but that was, in terms of career things, that was like a jumping off point. So.
That's awesome. I know you used to play the dump. I mean,
L55.
Yeah, 55.
Yeah.
Lovingly referred to as the dump.
The dump, right.
Yeah. The 55 bar. That's a big staple in New York. It's, for a long time, everybody was there.
Right.
I know you were there for a lot as well. And it's kind of it's a hole in the wall, but it's in New York fashion. That hole in the wall has so many different people who have walked through those doors that it's just an amazing place. And that bar itself, I think, you had some experiences there where you've kind of played and networked with some major players as well, right?
Yeah. I mean, you think about it, like Jocko came in and played there. It was not prime Jocko, but it was Jocko. So he came into those hallowed doors and laid it down, and there's a big poster wherever the bass corner is, like that corner, right? And then there's that poster of Jocko right behind you. So it's like, yikes. Yeah, I mean, like I started off playing there with like Leni Stern. Like I was always just like kind of the young kid that they were hiring to play bass. You know what I mean? And then as time went on, it was more half leadership, half But it got more. Like the more our names got out there, and the more they saw that we could fill seats, they started being interested in our other projects. So like it ended up being like cool. It's like I just call up Scott and book whatever I wanted, which was fun. But mostly it started off with Leni Stern, and then it was like Wayne Krantz. Wayne Krantz for a long time, which that became like kind of an institution actually, because it was like me and Keith Carlock, and it started off with Rocky Bryant and on drums, and then also Zach for a minute. But most of the time it was Keith and I and Wayne, and it became like a kind of like I said, an institution, and started getting packed every night. And then some of the cats started coming out. I remember one night I was there pretty early on. We were playing music from that 2 Drink Minimum record, that live record. And so I had the charts all out there. And right behind where the bass is the hallway to the bathroom. And as Steve Bailey was in there, reading along with the charts and conducting along while I was playing, I was like, "Go, dude." Steve's an awesome guy. I'm just saying, it was pretty funny to see that.
Yeah,
you want to just play?
Yeah. That's a real heavy moment.
Yeah. But, it was kind of one of those things where, I have terrible self-esteem. So, few people, went out of their way to say, man, because they were all friends with Wayne, because it was the older generation of New York people. And it's just but they would, finally I got some validation. I thought, like, like my friends, my young friends were always cool with how I played, but like some of the older guys who weren't sure what to make of me, like finally from that gig, I got some validation. So it was nice. And then things started kind of skyrocketing from there. So.
Yeah. Cause I know like that point, like I knew you there as like a jazz guy, but you were kind of going towards more of that rock end too. Like it wasn't long after that you started playing with Derek Trucks, right?
I was it was like, that was 2013. Yeah. After I moved to LA.
Yeah.
Yep.
So before you go there, what caused you to move from New York to LA?
I just felt like I kind of hit the ceiling in New York. Like, and I'm kind of like I could be vocal about what I say sometimes. And I just knew the next step for me was just to offend people who would hire me. So, and also the competition for the good gigs, like the gigs were shrinking, and it's just like, so I'm competing against Will Lee, James Genus, John Patitucci, bunch of people,
Steve Jenkins.
Steve Jenkins, right. So like, it just wound up being like a thing where it's just like, I'm just hitting my head in the ceiling and I'm just waiting for these guys to not be available, which is fine. I was subbing for James on Saturday Night Live for 8 years too.
Yeah,
so it's just
that.
like,
yeah.
So like after a while, it's just like, well, the gig's never going to be mine. It's just like, let's just try something new. So I bolted to LA. Just because I'd been playing with Chris Botti at the time. He's like, yeah, you should move to LA. And it was like, typical Botti style. I was like, yeah. So I did, and it took a minute, but it turned out to be a good move, So
that's great. So like so the Chris Botti, and then I know Donny McCaslin as well. Was that the same period that kind of developed? Like how long did you work with him?
Yeah, we did. I did records before that band actually became a band. Like there was a record he did, and I can't remember what it's called now. It was I think I played on the whole record. It was all electric because Dave Binney was like Dave Binney was the producer and also a 55-hour legend, and so he was producing Donny. He was like, you should make this an electric record, and then he recommended me. So like, it just became like me and Donny, and then Uri Caine, Antonio Sanchez, and then they got Juliana on board, and that became like kind of a working unit. And then we got Jason Lindner in the band, and then that became the band that did the Bowie thing. And it just had this kind of special wild chemistry because we'd been playing together before Donny as beat music or whatever improv situations they were, but it was always electronica based and just us going nuts. And in fact, there's a gig we did at Jazz Vienne in France where we had this tent gig. It was like a midnight gig. After all the gigs in the festival, official gigs in the festival were over, there was this tent where everybody would come and hang and jam. And so that night it was beat music, me, Jeff Taylor, Jason Lindner, and Mark Juliana, and we're just kind of doing our dub electronica stuff and blah blah. But anyway, like that day, Tedeschi Trucks happened to be there, and so they came to see us, and all the horn players sat in and stuff, and it was like they were all encircled around the place, kind of seeing what's going on while I was dropping all these sub bombs, and it's just like it was super cool. So that's the first time I met these guys, and they were very complimentary, and then who knew that two or 3 years later I'd be on the gig, but
yeah, that was a really intense gig, I'm sure. I mean, you did what was the so many tours with those guys, and I saw you on the Tiny Desk tours.
Yeah.
That's right. That was a great one too.
That was fun. That was a good one.
That's that band was an incredible band. You guys sounded great.
Thanks.
And that was like a really like tight knit unit because you had so many good guitar players, and then you were just pulling up that bottom and just putting it all together.
And I had a good hookup with Kofi Burbridge too. God rest his soul. I mean, I know he passed away and stuff, but that was kind of the other engine of it. It was like me and Kofi and the drummers were kind of formulating stuff, and that ended up being a lot of the writing, like for the next couple of records. Just because of the stuff we were coming up with during the shows, it's like remember that, and then we go to the studio and write a tune around it. You know what I mean? So like. And so a lot of the tunes that were on the records came out of jams we did in soundcheck or at shows. So it was kind of fun, and that it was a very, very fertile period. The first couple of years in that band were incredible. It was just like it's just kind of skyrocketing. Like musically, we were skyrocketing, and so was the audience numbers. I mean, we started selling out everything because people kind of were catching the idea that this band it was something different, and it's because I think part of it, was I think, and I'm not. It has. Obviously Derek and Sue are the main reasons why, but I think I brought a different element. Like I'm not from Jam World at all, and I think I brought a different element to it that made it a little more edgy and a little more progressive sounding, and I think that helped things go, move forward. So, yeah.
Yeah, that was excellent. That was excellent. So you alluded to the Bowie stuff, and
Yeah.
you know, Lazarus. That part that you play in the beginning of Lazarus. Oh man, that's I had a student once come in and said wanted to learn that, and like we went through that part, and that's I think you're playing it with a pick throughout that in the beginning,
Yeah, the
and
whole tune actually.
it's haunting. It's
Yeah, it's cool. I'm a big fan of this guy Fink.
yeah,
He's a singer songwriter from
DJ.
he was, yeah.
Yeah,
Now he's a singer songwriter. He lives in
sweet little
Berlin.
thing, right?
Yeah, yeah. He's incredible. Like I'm such a fan of his. Anyway, so like I was at that point, I was like just immersed in his records so hard. It was just coming out everywhere, and that was one of the things. Like there's a tune called "Fears Like Fire" on Perfect Darkness, and so basically like that's kind of what the beginning of Lazarus came out of. But basically, like what happens is like David would write the song, and so it would just start on the riff, and like, but at the end of the song, like because I had confidence in the band, like it was just it was me, Donny, and Jason Linder and Mark Giuliano. It's just like, okay, fuck it, like even though it's David Bowie and that's intimidating enough, but we were just like, well, it's also us. So like
Yeah.
we'd finish playing the tune that whatever David had written. What the written part was.
Mm-hmm.
And so after that, we were kind of floating along, and I started doing that kind of part. And then they were like, yeah, do that in the intro, like keep that and do that in the intro. So like I ended up, composing it a little more. And so like, it was just kind of because we did it on the spot and they loved it. So it became a part of the tune.
So was Bowie in the studio when you guys were recording your parts?
Yep. Singing too.
Wow.
He'd sing a scratch, we did everything to click track. So he'd sing a scratch and then he'd go in and usually, Mark Giuliano and I were done in 2 or 3 takes max. You know what I mean?
Was that recorded in New York?
Yeah, at the what's it called? Magic Shop. That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, a little Soho place across from like this little Bloomingdale's. So like it's a great studio. They have this old like broadcast Neve board and good sounds and great engineer. It was Kevin Killen. I don't know if you know. He worked a lot with Peter Gabriel and U2 and stuff like. So he knew how to get good sounds. So
that's incredible.
Yeah.
That album is that's a heavy album.
It is.
Not just that Bowie passed away like 2 days after it was released, but just it's such a it's such a great album, and like so many ways that was him saying goodbye.
I think so. I think that was part of it, like facing mortality. But at the same time, he started getting better. Like he started. We did like 3 1-week sessions, and every session, it would be a week in January, a week in February, week in March, and each session he got better and better. So like, and then he went into remission. So I don't know. I mean, after a while, I thought there was some hope there, but apparently not, because there was also talk about doing another record, as late as like November. So yeah, I don't know. It just kind of, I don't even know. I think it got bad for him in December of 2015, and so. I think that's when it kind of came back and then did him in. So it was rough.
And I know you guys did the Tiny Desk. You did the Bowie the album Blackstar instrumental.
We did Lazarus. We always did Lazarus live. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of hard. The thing about that is like people try to do Lazarus, and it's like it's hard to anything off Blackstar people try to cover, except for there's been one good cover, and it was a remix by 9 Inch Nails. Of I Can't Give Everything Away. That's fucking incredible. Like I just can't even believe how good it is, because he just stripped everything off and put a little synth, like a arpeggiated synth, and it's just like it's mind boggling.
Reznor's on a different level. That dude is he's a genius. I love that dude.
Man, everything about him, like the scores he does. Like did you watch The Watchmen?
I saw part of it. I didn't get to see the whole thing.
Yeah, the HBO one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because he scored that. It's just like the guy's nuts. It's so prolific and so original. It's awesome.
Him and Atticus Ross, right?
Right, Atticus Ross.
Yeah,
if you ever saw the Book of Eli is Atticus Ross, and it's fucking mind blowing score. Like the darkest, like all analog synths, and like just sounds like it went to tape. This guy's incredible.
You ever heard How to Destroy Angels?
No.
That's Atticus and Trent Reznor, and I think Trent Reznor's wife. Just really dark stuff. It's like 9 Inch Nails, but with a female vocalist.
What's it called again? I'm looking at it.
How to Destroy Angels.
How to Destroy Angels. All right. How to Destroy Angels.
Yeah, you'll love it.
I just saw it. Okay.
There's, that's yeah. Those I can imagine Trent Reznor would definitely approach that because him with Pino Palladino was glorious too.
Yeah.
That
Yep.
Jimmy Kimmel that they did live, that live show. Oh my God.
Yeah, that's some hesitation marks because Pino's on that record. Yeah.
Yeah. What a great record. I mean,
Well,
Pino's kind of in the same group. Like you guys are kind of like built from the same mold in a lot of ways.
it's high praise. I mean, very high praise. Well, no, it's funny how Pino can talk himself into any situation though. Like Pino still was doing Pino thing on a 9 Inch fucking Nails record,
I know.
which is like, but it's like
he's the
doing
same way, Tim.
I mean, thanks, but like. Yeah, I mean, speaking of which, have you heard Pino's new stuff with Blake Mills and Sam Gendel?
I have not yet. No.
Yeah, I should go on Instagram and see it. It's pretty great. It's just like sax, electronics, Blake Mills and Pino, and Pino's actually playing some fretless, and it's really good.
I did see that actually. I did see that. That's incredible. I forgot about that because it was like somebody shared it with me, and I went back around. And I was like, oh my God! It's like I love Pino too. I mean, just an incredible player.
Yep.
Incredible ears.
Yep.
You guys, like I said, you guys are kind of like in for me, as like my icons that I look up to personally as a musician. It's you and Pino, and because you're just so able to, you're flexible. You're able to move from situation to situation, and you work towards the benefit of the song. It's not about being center and making your mark. You can make your mark, but you're always pushing towards the song being the center, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, well, thank you. That's also high praise. It's funny, like you obviously it looks like you do some sideman stuff at home, like people call you to record and stuff like that, right? Have you ever noticed, like you think someone sends you a song to play on, it's like, oh yeah, cool, I'm just going to play this simple, right? And you do 2 takes of like super simple shit, and you think, yeah, you got it nailed, and they come back to you, it's like, yeah, can you put more of your sauce on it? I'm just like, oh man, the one like that's the one thing I was like always trying to do in New York, and I couldn't do it. Is like try to sound anonymous. You know what I mean? Like I could just be anybody on this record, but it never works out that way, and it's fortunate and unfortunate. Like it's just cool because when people call me, they call me for me, right?
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Tim, so now you did Blackstar. I've recently seen you. So I know you have your own stuff coming out. There's more albums that have been dropping, but you've been doing a lot of production work. You have a studio at your place. Is it what's the name of that again? It's
the studio. I forget. Yeah. I don't know if it has a name yet.
I thought it was the Crow or
Caffeinated. It used to be Caffeinated Studios or something.
Caffeinated Studios.
We moved, so like now I haven't got a new name for it, but yeah.
That's all. But you've been doing a lot of YouTube and a lot of video production with different effects lessons, different how-tos, which I've been seeing coming out quite a bit. What's going on with that?
Well, because we started a Patreon page. As soon as I saw, my wife was really smart, Rachel Eckroth. She's a great musician too. But she saw, like last February, March, she's like, this is going to crash and burn. So like, we got to think of a way to pay the rent. So she's like, let's make a Patreon page. And due to like being on tour so much and like never being around to, like I had countless people, I don't mean to sound blasé about it, but like a lot of people asking me, do you teach? And I'd always say no, because like when I was home, in LA from tours, I'd be like, the last thing I wanted to do was teach. Mm-hmm. So I was just kind of always putting it off. So then when the COVID hit, like, everything shut down, I was like, well, this is the perfect opportunity. So we started up a Patreon page, and like, so, it stayed pretty steady. I mean, despite the economic downturns, we've had a good turnout. So like, basically like a lot of those videos I've been doing have been for Patreon, or, if somebody sends me pedals or something like that, like I'm glad I'll make the video first for Patreon because they paid for it per se, and then I'll send it to the whoever made the pedals, like like Red Panda Lab or whatever, and they get the content videos. And sometimes I'll make my own separate videos for that. But most of the stuff up on YouTube has like either been like probably Ampeg or like Dark Glass. Just there's been a whole bunch of stuff like. But I'm not a big YouTuber per se. Like Rachel, my wife, put up a bunch of the Patreon videos to try to attract more students for the bass lessons thing. So like she put, and also some gear videos, just so people knew what they were going to get in the Patreon package, So that's been why the YouTube presence has been stepped up. And then also, I've been doing the Scary Pockets, the LA
I was
kind
about
of,
to ask you about that.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I'm a huge fan of Scary Pockets. I love what they're doing because that's Postmodern Jukebox was kind of the first ones to kind of take that concept,
yep,
and then they ran with it in a totally different way.
right,
Taking all those tunes and kind of like reimagining them.
yep,
And
yep.
I've seen at least 2 or 3 videos that you've done with them.
Yeah, I've done like 5 or 6, I think now. I did a whole record. There's also a side project of it, which is called Scary Goldings. So like basically it's Larry Goldings and same cast of characters. So like it's all centered around Goldings.
Yep,
So
yep.
we did that's actually when that record was written on the spot. This is kind of like basically everything Scary Pockets does is on the spot. Like nobody's thought about an arrangement until the singer shows up. You know what I mean? So like that's the kind of the fun part. It's like, okay, cool, whatever it's going to be, it is. And but if you notice, like all those covers have a certain sound to them, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
it's kind of like it's not even about. I don't mean to sound callous about this. It's not really about music. It's about views.
Mm.
Like they're making things for views, and that's cool. Like once you wrap your head around it, say, oh, cool, yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Let's do this, and it's like it's kind of a happy sound, like keep people engaged. And the singers are always amazing. So
Yeah.
yeah.
The arrangements are pretty are excellent. I'm
Yeah, they're
like I
good.
said, I'm a big fan. I enjoy
Yeah,
what
yeah.
they do. I've been inspired by it, and I think that's Jack Conte?
Jack Conte, who's the
Yeah,
CEO of Patreon.
Patreon, yeah.
Yeah. And my friend and Ryan Lerman, who I've known for a long time. He used to play bass and guitar for Pomplamoose and
Yes.
Ben Folds. Yeah, he's great. He's a great musician. They're both great musicians, so it's fun.
Yeah, I always enjoy his harmonies. He does some really nice keyboard parts that I really dig.
Yeah, that's his thing. He gets in there. And he's like over caffeinated, and it's just like, yeah, let's do it. And it's fun. It's there's a lot of energy in the room, so, and always really good drummers. Like best to me, like the most responsible for the like playing a good song drums style is
Yeah.
there all the time. Like my friend Lamar Carter is awesome drummer. Tamir Barzilay, Rob Humphreys. Who else have I done?
They had Elise Theroux on too. She was pretty amazing.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, she.
I mean, my favorite so far has been this girl Abby Celso, and then what's his name? Jose Maria. What's his name? I can't remember. He did like a Stevie Wonder cover. It's good. It's good stuff.
I love they did Kiss by Prince.
Yep.
Which it's already a funky tune. So making it a little funkier.
Yep.
What could go wrong?
Yeah, exactly. Nothing. Yeah.
It's good stuff. It's good stuff.
It's good stuff. It is definitely.
So Tim, what do you have in the pipeline coming out in the near future?
Well, I just produced my wife Rachel Eckroth's record, which is going to be. She did some really really cool writing. It's going to be cool.
Are you playing on it too?
Yeah, I play bass on it. So yeah, that's coming out eventually. I'm working on an ambient record actually. It's not always like ambient, but I've been collaborating with a bunch of people like Ash Sohn, this drummer from UK. Matt Chamberlain played drums and he also did some modular synthesis stuff. A couple modular synth artists that I found on Instagram. This guy Only Ruin, who's amazing. My friend Ted Morcaldi. This guy Peter Adams he's a Spotlight Floodlight, I think, on Instagram. So he's a beautiful modular synth guy. So and also a beautiful piano player. So I got him on a couple things. So that's going to come out at some point. I'm busy doing other stuff until then. So that's going to come out. We just dropped this thing I produced called Moot Points, like a crazy video, and Rachel and this guy Alassane are the artists on it. Like Alassane's the lead singer, and he wrote most of it. Rachel wrote some stuff with it, parts of the tunes, but anyway, that just came out. And it's weird because like everybody's dropping music right now, so like kind of to me it's like super original, like and quite remarkable. And like I think I have good perspective on it, and but I'm having a hard time getting traction on it, so it's just like I just have to kind of wait and bide my time. But hopefully everybody out there in bass musician land can watch the video. It's on all my socials and stuff. So yeah, it's a crazy video. This guy from South America, it's like mind-boggling video. So
that's awesome. That's really awesome.
It's fun. It's fun.
And you're on Instagram. You're obviously on Facebook. You're on YouTube.
Yeah.
Are there links? What's the YouTube channel's name?
I think it's just my name. I don't know. I don't really have its YouTube channel that I know of yet. I don't know. Maybe I should go make one.
You should.
I feel there's like 4 people who subscribed, and I don't even know why. Because I guess I just signed in and I've commented on a few things. So like maybe that's what they. But I'm not like putting up my own videos.
I think one might be me.
Yeah, could be. Definitely my Instagram, TimLefev. I do a lot of stuff on that. Yeah, Facebook fan page, Tim Lefebrve. Twitter, which I mix up with politics a lot, so probably should avoid that.
Yeah, most of us avoid Twitter. It's a bad place.
It is. It's ugly. It's so ugly.
It's the new soapbox. People get on and scream. Nobody listens.
Yeah, right. That's about right. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of what's going on. I have a website too, timlefebvremusic.com.
Awesome.
TIMLEFE. Yeah, it has all my crap coming up and whatever is not coming up. I mean, it has a lot of things that are not coming up.
One of the things that I always used to love that, because I think I've been following you on Facebook for a really long time, was
right.
You'd always go to like these different parts of the world and you'd have these cigars. You'd be smoking a cigar out, and you're like, I think you were at a wedding the one time, and you were like, yeah, they're always like iconic cigar shots. So I understand you're still a pretty big cigar guy, right?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, big enough. I mean, I'm also a cyclist, so it's not a great combination. Sometimes, yeah.
Keeping each other out.
Well, the thing is if you don't push yourself on the cycle like too much on the bike too much, it's like then it's okay, But if you're pushing yourself, it's really not a good idea. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of a big cigar guy. I always enjoy when I'm over in Europe. You can stop in anywhere and get a Cuban, which is amazing.
Is that your go-to?
If it has to be. No, I mean, I've got a few go-tos here in the States. I mean, I like, I really like these Black Label Regiuses, Regius. I don't know if you ever smoked one of those.
I have not.
Nicaraguan, but they're really hard to find. You can get this like box of 10 Robustos for less than $100, and it's for the money. It's the bang and smoke. It's unbelievable. What else have I been smoking? What have you been smoking?
I'm a big fan of the Drew Estates Undergrounds.
Oh yeah.
That's been my go-to. That with a good good dark coffee.
Yeah,
dark
that's nice.
Roast, incredible.
What kind of cigar? Are you a Maduro guy or?
I'm a Maduro. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah, so you're like the stronger. I can't do. I just I get halfway through Maduro and I'm just like I'm done. Like like Padrones are like that. They're pretty strong.
Thank you so much for joining us today with Bass Musician and really letting us know where you are and what's going on and what we can expect. And
I missed you guys. I did a few things like with you guys a few years ago, and then it's not that we just kind of lost touch. I mean, some of the guys I knew there, like is Raul still running the magazine?
Yep, Raul.
Okay, cool. Yeah, he's the last guy I talked to, and give him my best. He's a great guy. He's a great guy.
He is. He absolutely is.
Yeah.
But I want to thank you.